And you may remember that in the year we looked at an artist called Paul Klee. And I'm hoping that you also remember something very famous that Paul Klee said about dots and lines. He said, 100 years ago, he said, a line is a dot taken for a walk. Now, in the year, we've spoken about the visual elements, and they are the different things that make up a piece of art. Lines are a visual element, but shape is as well. And we're going to look at some more visual elements this week. So thinking about the visual elements and about what Paul Klee said, I would like you to draw a piece of clothing. Now, it could well be a big jumper, maybe even like a Christmas jumper, yeah? Okay, so something like this. So we've got the outline of a jumper, or maybe a t-shirt, doesn't really matter. And what I'd like you to do is, in the tradition of Paul Klee, I would like you to fill that piece of clothing with as many different lines as you think you can. Now, I'm using this broad marker so you can see this on screen, but I think you can use any kind of material that you want. So if you've got different kinds of pencils, different kinds of pens, different kinds of, I don't know, any kind of drawing material, yep, feel free to use them. And I'd like you to fill up this garment, I'd like you to fill up this piece of clothing with as many different lines as you think. Now remember, Paul Klee said, a line is a dot taken for a walk. Well, it may be that you take your dot for some straight walking, yeah? Maybe going backwards and forwards. So you fill up the document, the garment, with lines, yeah? So maybe lines going backwards and forwards, but mostly straight. Maybe some of the lines go up. Maybe some lines go down. Maybe they're straight, or maybe they're curved. Now, over the last year, we've talked about the visual elements, and we've talked about how if lines connect and overlap, they become shapes, yeah? So you need the lines to make shapes initially, yeah? Because the lines are the outlines of the shapes, yeah? But if you repeat the shape, then you start to get a texture. And some of the primary twos will remember that texture is about how things look like how they feel. So we're talking about whether things feel like they're rough or smooth. Now, some of your lines that you're drawing in your piece of clothing might be wiggly. They might be zigzaggy. And then you might actually decide to put some lines inside the shapes that you've made with your lines, yeah? Now, in thinking about numeracy, you could have lines that make shapes that you know from your numeracy work, yeah? So I wonder if you can remember what all these lines and shapes make up. And you can overlap those shapes. You could have more dashed lines, couldn't you? So keep going. Now I'm wondering if you can make up a whole suit, a whole outfit. And when you're finished with that, maybe you'd like to draw a head and put it in where the neck goes, yeah? It could be a self-portrait. And maybe when I see you again, I'll be able to look at that and decide who drew which one.